Hi, so this video is about the environment of the COMA UI. So the environment refers to visually the center of the screen, and basically this is a flow chart, and it's powered by a library called Go.js. So if we want to add a module, we click on it, and it appears in the chart in this area as a graph node. So for these, we're gonna use this is a CSV file, so in order to connect something to it, it has to be a data module. So Go.js there created a new module. I created a new module using Go.js, and I automatically generated a link as well. And so you can also draw links manually. We can highlight groups of nodes, and we can even group them together, collapse them, expand them, ungroup them, and you'll see we can also save them. And so these are composite modules that I've just been saving for testing. So see, I have this one here. This one is this one was a bad one, but for instance, okay, we'll do this one test. All right, and so this one just loads up some saved uh, data. All right, and if you want to save it, you go right click to group, and then we're gonna look for the one of these this composite. We'll do a save. Here we can CSS needs to be updated here. We'll call it test 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 module test. Save it. So this should disappear when that happens, but it doesn't. So that's another thing that's going to have to be done. And if we reload it, test 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But it won't save the data module. And so that's an issue. So if you're trying to save one that has data module, yeah, that's that's a bug that we'll have to work out later. All right, so that's the basics behind what the environment looks like. So in the wiki, there are some just a graphic showing the flow chart. And so let's take a look at the code. All right, so it's in the JavaScript folder, and let's see, this one is in components, environment. Okay, so in the environment, basically, this is where um, all of the Go.js work is done. When this is first created, this will be called um, setup environment, and this is going to be called from the global manager uh, during main. So this is the first function that's called in the entire program in it, and it's going to call start environment by the global manager, and this will create the environment. So if we follow the function path through here, we'll see the first thing it does is it starts the Go.js environment, and so what it's going to do here is it's going to create a completely new diagram. It'll be an empty diagram, and it's going to store it in the my diagram function. All right, and so if you follow these functions, it's going to create new diagram. And all this is going to do is going to return the diagram object, and it's going to require these diagram variables. And so some of these are, for instance, where's the content when it's put in there? So it's going to put it into a spot in the top left. It's going to scale things automatically, and it's going to it has this layout. So the layout is a layered digraph layout, right? And so essentially, once you have access to that diagram, and if you look, let's see, let's go to the Go.js. All right, so they have samples, and this is a data flow. So this is data. So this is the one we're using is a data flow, and so this is basically where I got the code originally. And so you can look at this model, and so the one way to that they describe it is you can store it in a JSON format, and these are the links, right? So you have a from key and a to key, and these keys are the ID of the node. So for instance, this is node 42, and so this is a link from 42 to 51. Um, you can highlight them and drag them around. You see you can add multiple ports, and the ports can have labels as well. And so the way these are set up is that there's a panel which is a GoJS panel object. And on that panel, it's split up into three sections, three rows. So you'll have the top row, which has this text, the middle row, which has an image, and the bottom row, which has an additional thing of text. And so if you look at ours, it's the same thing, right? And actually, um, this one you can do two-way binding, so you can actually update it to whatever you want, and you can change any of those fields as well. So all the documentation is here, is on this page. And if you want to look at the actual code, I believe you can see it through here. Um, yeah, view the code sample. So this is how it originally looked, and uh, I actually broke it up into smaller functions, and because I find it easier to work that way. However, some of the functions, for instance, the group template, I left as a really, really big object, and maybe that's easier for you to understand for whoever's working on this in the future. Um, Otherwise, so for instance, setting up the environments I was showing you, it breaks it down where each function I try to return a different object because these are essentially made up of multiple objects. It'll take some time to get used to some of these variables, some of these settings, but GoJS has really good documentation. Some of it is a little tricky, but let's take a look at how we create a new node. So nodes are created through templates. So a template is essentially just it's just a predefined module. The settings are predefined. So whenever you're creating a new module, if there's no template made, which means that it's the first time it's being created by the client during that instance of the program, it'll create a template. And so the template is going to take in the name, the image, the color, and the shape. It's going to take in a set of imports, a set of outputs, and that's basically what it is. So once you make a template, every time you generate a new node of that type, it'll just load it from the template. And so looking back here, the name, so in this one, you see the shape is a circle. This one, the shape's a rectangle. And there's also ones that are shaped with curves. I don't think yeah, the outputs. Right, so the output is a rectangle with curved corners. And so the name of the module is actually line chart. And then here's the image. And then this is the type. And so you can see we can change the colors as well, if you wanted to. And the colors, but mostly we decided to go with black and white for now. But that can be changed if it's decided that that's a better thing to do, is different colors. And I colored the ports to signify which ones they can connect to. And and there is some validation for that, but it it may still need some improvements. All right, so the templates are created and it follows along. So once the templates are made, it'll follow through some things. For instance, it unpacks the port array because the port array the way the ports are stored in the modules is different than how the GoJS is gonna um, actually use them, how it likes them. And so we'll just take a look. So we'll look at make port. So make port, it's just going to add, so left side, if this is true, it's going to put it on the left side, and that means it's an import. If it's false, it'll be a write port, and then it's going to create a port object using a GoJS, which is just a make function that GoJS uses to create elements, and then it'll have the name and the type of port, and it's going to attach it to the panel. And the panel is just, it's just refers to the background element where everything is stuck to. Right, and so here's where it's actually setting up the port, which is this function. So right down here, and you see it's going to place the port label on which side it's going to place the port in a specific side. It's going to align the port. It's going to set the port, whether it's linkable or not, to linkable from. And these functions are all right here below. They're really simple functions. You can look at those and understand them. So that's how you make a template. And if you want to make a group template, so groups are, again, if you highlight them, right click them, this context menu comes up, and then you can group them, right? And so they all follow the same template as well. And all that information is here. And I just left this as uh, one big function, and you can take, or one big object, and you can look at that and play around with it if you want to change anything. You can see, for instance, this is how you're going to make something two-way. You just add the make two-way function to the binding. There's a function here. So this one is this is how we create event listeners. So there are events that GoJS has that are built in. For instance, when a link is drawn, anytime a new link is drawn, it's going to notify the module manager that this link has happened, because the module manager needs to it needs to update the different modules when they get connected to a uh, to a new pipeline. For instance, if you attach a filter to a data module, then the module manager needs to know. It needs to grab that data and then build the inspector card for the filter. And so yeah, so that every time it's done, that'll be sent to the hub, and the hub will execute the functions that are necessary for that. For instance, when one is deleted, if you delete a module in the GoJS environment, then the module manager needs to know that it's deleted, and it can remove all the variables and everything that we have updated on that module in the module manager. And so you can look, there's all kinds of different environments in different GoJS events that happen. And this is the function where you want to add more or change any ones that are already there. The context menu. So when I right click on a group or on an object, on an element, a node, this menu is going to pop up. And so it's really quite simple. You can add other ones as well. So these are all just built-in GoJS functionality. Uh, Grid visibility. The grid just refers to the grid in the background. You can turn it on and off. And let's see, most of these, yeah, we went through a lot of these. Adornment. Adornment just refers to what happens when the node is right clicked. So in this case, it's going to add the context menu. So the node body, when you're this is going to set the node width and height. It's going to create the shape, which is going to be the rectangle or the circle, and it's going to populate the body. And so populating the body is going to create these layers, right? So it's going to have the top row is a text block, the bottom row is a picture, which is the icon, and the middle row is the picture, and the bottom row is the text block. The set node attributes. These are just the basic, simple attributes. So, for instance, this is the background color. This is the outline, the border. How thick is the border? So I have it set to transparent right now, but if you wanted to change the border, you could do that. And yeah, and that's just and that's just yeah, some simple attributes there. So you can look through these and you'll see there's quite a few different features you can change on these, and they're all in the Go.js documentation. So again, with the ports, see if there's anything else. The double click listener. So double clicking. So this we'll call the handle double click, which sends a message to the pop-up manager that a double click event has happened, and that's going to load the pop-up like so. Get model. So this is going to return an array of links and an array of nodes. And again, the links are defined as a to and a from, where each one has a numerical ID. When a new group is made, this function is going to be called, and it's going to update the information, and it's going to send it to the module manager to notify it that a new group has been made, because the module manager will have to then create a composite node out of them, and it'll inject that into the DOM into the environment as well. When things are ungrouped, the module manager needs to know as well, so it can update each of the modules if they've been removed. This is the node color. This is an older function because early on we had different colors for each type. So this is still there if you wanted to update, change different colors. And here's the port link validation. So this is the way that I'm doing now is that only if the links are of the same color allow the link to be made. And I had an issue where sometimes this was still linking to the wrong node, and so this is going to be something that needs to be updated as well. And so one more thing. So right now, when we save these composite modules, I'm saving them to load file storage, and I'll show you what they look like. So these are all the representations of the different modules. And so, for instance, let's find one that has some links. Okay, here's one with links. So in this one, we have a CSV file. It's linked to a filter, or the CSV file, a filter, and an orbital plot. And we have a link between node 2 and node 3. So there's a link between the filter and the orbital plot. And so you see how the representation is. And so when these get loaded into the system, into the client at the startup, um, these will be stored on the module manager. And so when the user clicks on them in the module selection menu, each one of these is built programmatically. And so we start. Let's take a look at it actually. It'll be in the module manager. Okay. So this is the function that's going to be called here. It's called deploy composite components with group key. And so we're going to get the composite prefab map, which is where all these are stored, and we're going to have the name of the component name of the module is how it's is the key to that hash table. And so for each one of these nodes, we are going to create the module, and it's going to be a non-composite module. So we're going to make each one of those individual nodes first. So we'll make the CSV module, the filter module, and then the output module. And then we're going to create the group module, and we're going to draw any links that are there. Right. So then we're going to deploy each one of those, and then we're going to create each one of those links that are there and draw the links. And finally, we're going to create the composite prefab model, which is going to group everything together. And so we can go to that function as well. So here, now we're going to send, all right, so this is created. So the new module is generated here through generate new module. And this is the module generator instance. We're going to add this module to the module table, storing it with its key as the key is the key. And then we're going to set the composite group information. And so this is going to, here, let me just go to it. Oh, this is our modules. Then we're going to set the composite group information. Where did it go? Okay, yeah. This is in the composite module, and that's just going to store. All right, so this actually goes to the specific composite module, and this is going to store the group information on this one. So um, it'll have an entire map of the links and the nodes that are all part of this group, and it has a specific group key, which is actually a negative number. And if you look, I think you can see them here. So let's look at a composite one. Yeah. So this, see the module ID for the composites, they're negative, whereas everything else is going to be positive. And this is and so that's an overview of how the environment works. The functions in here are detailed with the comments and with the function name, and so you can look through this. And any other questions about GoJS, definitely go to the GoJS website.